In a year and a half of being homeless and unemployed, God taught us some great lessons. Here is just one thing we learned.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
I laugh every time I see that clip of Allen Iverson. Most of us have seen it and most of us identify with it. In the game of life, we are focused on the main thing, and that's playing the game the best we can. But what happens when it seems you aren't in the game? What then? I can remember when we were going through our transition how very lonely it felt. And we've already shared with you one of the lessons about our lost in loneliness. In the middle of our loneliness, I felt like God had removed the people from our lives that meant the most to us. The people who used to call us or email us or talk to us on the phone now seemed very far away. I felt angry. I wondered why they weren't calling. They weren't texting. They weren't inviting us to places. It all seemed very hurtful, like we were forgotten. Now, some of this was our own doing. It was our own fault because we didn't want people to ask us about our situation, so we avoided them. We didn't want them to ask us how we were doing, but if people weren't asking us how we were doing, we were disappointed because they didn't ask us how we were doing. So to avoid the problem, we just did nothing. It all added to our loneliness. Inside, we thought these people, who were our church family, should be acting like they were our church family. They should be doing what Christ calls us all to do as believers. What we didn't take into account was that they were still in the game. They were playing. They were active in ministry and in church. They weren't isolated like we had become. As it turns out, these people loved us, but they were just as uncomfortable as we were when they were around us. They didn't know what to say. They didn't know any way to make our situation feel better. They just were as helpless as we were. Here's where one of the most interesting lessons came for us. If we weren't in the game, it meant it was a good time for us to be practicing. All the things that we were expecting others to do, we weren't doing ourselves. We were sitting on the bench, watching the world go by, feeling sorry for ourselves. This is where God stepped in and he said, you should be practicing what I told you to do while you're not in the game. Scripture says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any moral excellence, and if there is any praise, practice these things. Do what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, and the God of peace will be with you. One of the most impactful lessons we learned was that we shouldn't be depending on others to be living out what we were supposed to be doing ourselves. Our greatest impact during this season of transition was made when we began practicing what Christ taught us to do. We began texting, making phone calls, sending prayers, and connecting with people that we knew and loved. They were still in the game. They were fighting the battle. We were on the bench and we were supposed to be practicing and lifting those up and encouraging them as they face the battle of the game. Are there times you feel neglected, disconnected? Do you feel like other people who are supposed to be close to you aren't checking in on you, praying for you, calling you, or texting you? Can I ask you something? Are you doing those things for those people that you love? While you're not in the game or while you're in the middle of your chaos, are you practicing the things that you would wish that they would do for you? Yes, we're talking about practice. As always, we hope these short videos bless you. Be sure to like and share, and please feel free to comment and tag anyone you know that might be encouraged by our story. We can't wait to cross paths with you again soon. We love you guys.